Hey, everybody. Today I have for you podcast number 024, also known as 24. Today's podcast is titled, What Will It Take? Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of your weekly Limitless Life Network podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Lombardi, and this is the Limitless Life Network, where we flesh out the limitations that are preventing you from reaching your goals and living the life that you deserve. And this podcast is for you if you want to live a life with less limitations and more freedom with a healthier mind, body, and spirit. The Limitless Life Network brand is born out of the scripture in Ephesians 3:20, which reads, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." And I want to help you to recognize and tap into that limitless power that is at work within you. So today's episode is titled, What Will It Take? What will it take? So, being the Limitless Life Network, I have for you 5 points that we are going to discuss today, and a little bit of a background where I got some inspiration from these points. And I had a really great getaway, work getaway slash a little bit of vacation fun, a lot of fun, had a lot of fun, have a lot of fun all the time. Uh, Weekend and a half, kind of. We left town on a Wednesday afternoon and came back on a Sunday, and we went down to Naples, Florida, to get together with a couple of dozen other couples for a mastermind event with some people that we know and we trust, and it was really good. And so from this, I gained a lot, and I came up with some of these points, and it was really nice to see my wife get a lot out of this as well. And it's nice to have travel as a couple because we all see things from a different angle, and so two people can be listening to the same story and hear and take away something totally different. So that's not a point, but it really is a byproduct of just human nature. You could tell a story to one person and tell them to tell that story to the next person and then to the next person, and by the time 10 people have retold the story that you told, it doesn't usually sound exactly the same. As a matter of fact, it could be totally different by the time it gets back to you. So a lot to be said for having many different ears in the room. So, and that kind of brings me to our first point, and going to the title, "What Will It Take?" In order for you to experience growth in your life and to gain a fresh perspective, think about this. If you were to sit in a valley all day long, you don't really see too much from the valley, but if you climb to a mountaintop you can see a long ways, and things look a lot different when you get up high. So you think about your own life. We get into our life and all we see is what's going on in our life, and to point number one is that you can see much further from up above, meaning that sometimes it's just good to get away, to get out of your environment that you're in, to kind of reassess things and to examine what you've been doing, and how you've been living your life. And there's nothing wrong with that. People for centuries have been you know just going away to think about their life and to gain a new fresh perspective, and you get that from looking with a constructive eye from the outside in. And so that's point number one, is just it's good. And you don't have to go all the way across the country. You don't have to go across the eastern seaboard or western seaboard, wherever you're living. um, you could just climb a mountain and get in a quiet place. But the point is to just really unplug once in a while and do it with some intention and with some organization and some order to it, so that you can really learn and grow. Point number two is this, and we all know this to be true. Point number two is experience is a great teacher. And that was one of the things about our weekend, is that we got the opportunity to do some experiential things. And there's nothing like being immersed fully into something to really witness it with all your senses. Because when you're in an immersion type situation, you see things visually, you hear things, you taste things, you smell things, and you can just pick up on all the nuances. And part of an experiential uh, a situation is that it becomes very real, and it's very plausible that this could happen in your own life. Like, two different people have all the same potential, pretty much. Our opportunities in this country, in the United States, and in other countries, they have quite a bit of opportunity as well. But we all start this life with pretty much the same thing, nothing. And yes, some people are born into really great situations, and some people are born into absolute horrible situations. But um, for the majority of us, we fall somewhere in the middle between absolutely horrible and absolutely stupendous. Um, and this was a cool thing to see. I got to, I most of my work is done as in the service industry, so we got to experience a restaurant that was owned and operated by this man who grew up in a very poor European country, came from absolutely nothing, and just created the best restaurant in this entire area. Actually, it might be even the most profitable in the entire state per square foot. I think that was one of the statistics. But everybody said it couldn't be done to what this man ended up accomplishing. And I thought that was it was wonderful to hear him speak and listen to his story. And, you can read a book about somebody, but to hear them personally give their own testimony, there's nothing like that. So experience is a great teacher. And experience, like, you can tell somebody how to change a tire, but until they get a flat on the side of the road and have to do it for the first time themselves, they'll really learn where the jack is and where the tire iron is, and they'll have to figure it out if they have no other choice, right? So experience is a great teacher. Point number three. Point number three is be open to what is possible, and this is very true, because there's more than one way to do a lot of things. there's Oftentimes we get so stuck in the way that we're doing something that we don't even consider that there's another way. There could be a better way, there could be a more efficient way, there could be an easier way. We may think that we're doing it the easiest way, but be open to the possibility. And the possibility of what? The possibility of more blessing than you've ever expected in your life. Could that be possible? You know, I've listened to Michael Chandler, who's a fighter in the MMA world, and actually we had just found out that he just got assigned the fight that he's been waiting for, to fight Conor McGregor, and that fight's gonna really do a lot for his family and for his career. Financially, he's gonna be in really good shape. That's gonna make him a lot of money. Conor McGregor's already had these big fights, but he's a big name, and that's not the point here. But the point is that you know what Michael Chandler said is that when he's about to get into a ring with anybody and get into a physical altercation, which is part of the sport of MMA, is that somebody's going to walk out the victor. And why shouldn't it be him? Why not him? And that's being open to what's possible. And we oftentimes put so many limitations on ourselves and we show up really small and we play really small and we put limitations on ourselves and we never get to experience the blessings that are really possible in life. And it can be all kinds of blessings, and that really brings me to point number 4, which is one of the greatest blessings I think I experienced over the last weekend. And it came from showing up, and that's number 4 is the show up step. That was really a point that was hit home, is that one of the reasons that people meet with success in life is that they just show up to things. They just keep going to things and keep showing up. Because what happens when you show up at different places that maybe you're a little bit uncomfortable in going? And that's my wife. She doesn't really like to go to places where she doesn't know people, even though she's really wonderful at meeting people, and she's super super likable. Um, it's that, when you show up, you get the opportunity to meet new people. And when you develop new relationships, again, it brings me back to point number 3. What's possible? When you meet somebody, you open up a whole new can of possibility. It's like a big fat can of possibility. You just crack that baby right open every time you meet somebody new. You have no idea what you have in common. You have no idea how you could help them. You have no idea how they may like to help you, or how you could actually work together and collaborate with something. You have no idea. But if you never leave your house, if you never go anywhere new, and if you don't show up to things, you'll never know. And that's living a life with limitation. Okay. So those are 4 really, really solid points. And now point number 5 is it takes a different twist. And this actually came from my daily reading today. And it really is the point here. We're going to call it avoid the door. Okay. And it has to do with something that will totally derail anybody. I don't care who you are and what you've done in your life, but it can derail anybody. And that is the temptation to all the bad stuff. Okay. And the temptation to the bad stuff, whatever it might be, there's a verse in the Bible that talks about it in Proverbs chapter 5. And it's actually verses 3 to 8 if you want to read the story of dealing with an adulterous woman. And so this is that whole idea of doing something you shouldn't do sexually, okay? But it applies to everything. And I'm just going to read verse 8 to you. And it says, keep to a path far from her. Do not go near the door of her house. So it's saying keep to a path far from her. So in other words, stay away from her because she's the temptation, right? And then it says, do not go near the door of her house. So let me ask you this. What's more tempting, the door or the person? Well, obviously it's the person. It's not the door. What's more tempting, the substance, like maybe alcohol or drugs, or the door that leads to the substance? Well, the substance is more tempting. What's more tempting, something that's dangerous that you think you might need, or the door to the danger? All of those things are what are way more tempting than the door. So instead of dealing with temptation, deal with the door, right? So here's the trick: locate the door of temptation and then stay as far away from that as possible. And I had a great opportunity today to talk to somebody about that. And this man was super excited because today marks the day of his 10th year anniversary of being sober. And he shared that with me very openly. He shed light on something that he's struggled with for a long time, and then he's 10 years victorious. So um, I just felt compelled to share that whole concept with him about the door, right? Like if you struggle with alcohol, when you're in the grocery store, never walk down the beer aisle. Never go near that stuff because you don't even want to see it. The grocery store is meant for food and and safe drinking things like water and juices and sodas and stuff, sort of safe soda. um, but you get my point. So just keep that in mind this week. Keep that in mind for the rest of your life, as a matter of fact, because it'll serve you well. The most successful people in the world can be taken down in a heartbeat by going through those doors of temptation. So stay away from those as far as possible. But I think this was a super helpful one, and you can share it with anybody you'd like. I don't know where you guys listen to this, whether it's on Spotify or whatever the other avenue that you listen to podcasts, whether it's YouTube. But make sure that you hit the like, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well on YouTube. But also share it with a friend if you think this content is useful or helpful to them. So that's all I have for this week's edition of your weekly Limitless Life Network podcast. Tune in each and every week so that we can stay connected, we can be inspired, and keep moving toward what? Toward your best life by stripping away your limitations. So I will see you all next week.